Finishing up with more Glasgow whisky, but not from the Glasgow Distillery. Given that I'm not much of a fan of Glasgow as a city, I'm sorry, okay? There are Glasgow people, there are Edinburgh people. It's just how the world works. I'm sorry, okay? I mean, there are people that like both because, you know, I mean, absolutism. It's never a good. Let's not go down that road. So today, I'm going to be looking at the Clydeside Stobcross. This was their first release. I think I'm right in saying they didn't do a fancy schmancy straight to auction bottle. A lot of these new distilleries, they kind of like release their very first stuff, and it's destined for auctions. It's investment whiskey, you know. It tends to carry a slightly higher price label, and then people kind of keep it under their floorboards for a year, and then they flog it. Or they just stick it straight onto auction. Looking at you, Ardbeg releases. It's always funny to see, to be honest, it really is. It's like, oh, a new release, oh, it's sold out, oh, it's on auction 2 minutes later, hey! Circle of life. Anyway, Clydeside, it's an urban distillery, slap bang in the middle of Glasgow. I have not visited, I have not tried any of their output before, I have not tried their new make, I have not had a chance to try anything else that they have produced so far, so this is a first for me. It's one of those distilleries that actually, until they released the first one, I was like, oh fuck, another one, because it is genuinely really hard to keep track at this point. I am trying because it's exciting, it's wonderful to see. There's a proper explosion in what is, I mean, by its very nature, has to be a craft product. You know, you don't go into whiskey thinking I'm going to make a quick buck, because you just do gin instead, you know, because you can churn that out in 6 minutes and charge not much more than what, I mean, say for example, I've got the King's Inch still here because I review these back to back, because that's why I look the same, come on. It's called efficiency. I'm not an efficient person by nature, but I try. It's about 45 quid a bottle. There is a bottle of gin called Height of Arrows. It's been released by Holyrood. It's quite an exciting gin release, all things considered, really, and that's 37. There are bottles of gin out there that will go for 45 as well, and it will not have been anywhere near as high. For one thing, it won't have to sit there for 3 years. You know, so you get your return on investment a lot quicker, and I guarantee you the actual margin on that will be a lot better too. But anyway, back to the Clydeside. Stobcross. It's a cross just outside Dunbartonshire, and it tells you where you are, basically. That's what I've been able to gather from that name. I'm not from that neck of the woods. I've only ever visited that neck of the woods, so I mean, there are better people to tell you these things. Also, to be blunt, as a story, it's not that interesting. It's named after a road sign, really, isn't it, for all intents and purposes? There are going to be people from Glasgow right now in the comments threatening me, threatening to, I don't know, come at my mum or something. Well, you need a Ouija board if you're gonna. But anyway, let's go in with the actual whiskey before this gets any darker. Natural colour, non-chill filtered, because, you know, it has to be at this point. 46%. I don't know of any new releases that have gone with 40% coloured and chill filtered. It would seem to be a death sentence at this point, wouldn't it? Is it almost that is only for established brands that run off the brand and not the product? I mean, we all know the answer is yes, but hey-ho. Yeah, so, Clydeside. I just think of horses whenever I hear that name. Don't ask. I don't know. I didn't like once date a guy from Clydeside, and he was, you know. No, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's from like Mudsdale, Clydesdale. I don't know. Where did this go from? Let's talk about the bloody whiskey. Going in completely blind here. Mix of sherry casks and bourbon, mostly bourbon. I think it's about 80% bourbon, 20% sherry. So that's good. I mean, I like Glengoyne, so, you know. And it's funny I should mention Glengoyne, because actually... Ooh. Plums and icing sugar. Plums 2 weeks in a row. Blimey. Either I really like plums, or I'm picking the right whiskies. It's very confectionery-led, this. It's like almond croissants. Like freshly baked almond croissants on the back of Tesco's with like the wicker baskets and the pincers and the bags that you try and pull one and like 10 come out, and then you're there for 10 minutes being like and it's a fucking nightmare. It's, again, I realise I talk about vanilla a lot when I talk about whiskies, but again, it's another one that just is very vanilla heavy, vanilla forward. Maybe I just really like vanilla and I smell it in everything. Do I smell the vanilla? Not really, no. That's a shame. Does this smell of vanilla? Oh no! It's hoppy though. It's quite lemony. It's lovely. What else? What else? Does this smell of vanilla? This is, God, what was that? Oh, it was a pumpkin. Oh, so this kind of smells of nothing. Lovely vodka, actually. I was pleased to see that this is still in production. It's nice to give Grey Goose a run for its money, that stuff. What else? Does this smell of lemon? Lemon antibacterial cleaner. It's probably going to, actually, isn't it? So let's stick with the whiskey. Let's go down this. It's vanilla. It's floral. It's fruity. I'm going to taste it now because that's normally how these things work. Let's put it in your mouth, John. Really bright citrus notes. Really lemony orange pith. There's a touch of bitterness to it. It's a little herbal, kind of sage. Little minty as well, and then there's this wonderful icing sugar backbone. It does have just this beautiful, not quite tooth-achingly sweet, but not a million miles away, sweetness running all the way through. It's a rich whiskey. There's no hint of like peat or smoke. It does have a lovely, rich, creamy mouthfeel to it. And there is the kind of glacé cherries, apricot, fig, raisin kind of back note that you get with some more heavily sherried whiskies than this. So the sherry that is in here is actually doing a surprising amount of heavy lifting because it's reminding me a lot of more heavily sherried like Glengoynes and stuff like that. It does have that nature to it, almost a rye component to it. It's bitter yet sweet, marmaladey yet bright, orangey, lemony. No biscuits this time, though. That's an interesting omission, because normally everything tastes like biscuits to me. I just really like biscuits. Tra-la-la-la-la. Hey, it's a life. In the interest of getting this done today, I'm going to pop some water in this, and we're going to see what happens. Nutmeg and freshly baked pastries. There was a little bit of like an alcohol burn when you didn't have water to it. That's now gone away because we've added some water to it. The youthful character of it, and anyone who's had a fair few new whiskies will kind of know what that means at this stage, but the youthful character to it is still present. You know, we're not performing magic here. There's a menthol, sage, eucalyptus sort of an overnote to this. The sweet elements of it seem to have gone away, on the nose at least, but let's see if that's the same with the palate. So the problem with memory cards is that occasionally they run out of memory, and the problem with this camera is when that happens, it'll just sit there and not tell you that that's happened. We've been here before with this. So I tried this with water, and I was talking to myself for quite some time. I really need to get a fucking mirror set up behind this thing, don't I? Long story short, it is delightful, but it's completely different. Completely changes. It goes way more herbal, kind of a eucalyptusy, sage, oily mouthfeel, all that kind of sweet pastry kind of an element to it. Just gone. It's not there anymore. Just doesn't... It's bizarre. It's completely changed. It's the Beauty and the Beast almost. It's a whiskey of two faces, like, you know, that villain in Batman, the Man-Bat, that one. Yeah. It's fantastic. I've really enjoyed both sides to this. I think I prefer pre-water, personally, which is unusual. Normally I prefer it with some water to it. The post-water version becomes what a lot of people would argue is more sophisticated and complicated, and that's because it's lacking in, you know, the sort of sweet characteristics that it does have at the start. I do not subscribe to the idea that sweetness means stupid. Some people do. These people are joyless. But the post-water herbal, more kind of savoury kind of an edge to it is really quite something to behold. It's quite a delight, and I am looking forward to seeing what these guys release next. But that is my little roundup of Lowland whiskies. It's been fun, hasn't it? It's been exciting. I've been meaning to do this for some time. Comment down below, what is your favourite Lowland whisky? Do you have a favourite? Is it a region you're not particularly a fan of? Have you found more interest in it now that there are more whiskies to actually try? Leave all these comments and more down below. Thumb this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more weekly whisky content. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something else.